Now, when you think of a library, you might think of a stuffy old building filled with dusty and often irrelevant books. Well, one association is trying to shake off that image by helping some of the world's poorest have access to books and get a chance to an education and improve their lives. Bibliothèques Sans Frontières, or Libraries Without Borders in English, has been working hard now across the globe for over a decade. Experts there have come up with the novel, no pun intended, concept of an ideas box to pop up and be a portable multimedia centre that can be set up anywhere. Well, one of the founders of this movement joins me now here on set for today's Perspective slot. Jérémy Lachal, thank you very much for coming in to talk to us here on France 24. You've very much tried to overhaul this image of what a library is and reinvent it for the 21st century. Talk us through what your association's vision of a library is.
All of this is about freedom. And, you know, today access to education and information has become the main source of many inequalities over the world. And I think that libraries are at the very heart of what makes an individual free. It's access to individual knowledge, but also, I would say, like a more collective thing where you share, you know, citizenship, where you share better futures with people. And this individual and collective place are not so usual around the world. So the library is about that. It is firstly a place, and secondly access. Access to quality contents, like books, but also digital, you know, access to the internet, access to tablets, access to computers. And the third thing is about accessibility. Because today we are kind of stuck in this global flow of information, and it's very hard to find his way out. You know, for example, we are always talking about fake news here in Europe or in the US, but think about the life of a refugee in a camp. His problem is not fake news. His problem is rumors, misinformation. And for him, it can be vital. So the question is not only about the access to the information, it's also about the facilitation to get this good information to the good people at the good time. This is the 21st century library.
For those watching at home that don't know about your project, just talk us through how it actually works. Where do the books and the equipment come from? How is the whole thing financed?
So our work is about how do we project the libraries where there is no libraries. So, for example, in refugee camps. So we created this ideas box. This ideas box is a good, you know, idea of what we can do, because it's a tool, and it's a very nice tool with lots of colors and that can pop up anywhere, and in refugee camps, for example, but also in popular suburbs in the Bronx, in New York, for example. And at the same time, it's about good content. So how do we customize, you know, each of these projects? We have more than 90 ideas box all over the world today, but each of them are different. So we work in 21 languages, for example. And each ideas box, each library, I will say, will be customized according to the language, but also the needs of the population. For example, we work in laundromat in the US, and it's very interesting because it's where people are. You know, when you go to the laundromat, you are stuck in the laundromat for 2 hours, and you have nothing to do.
But some people watching might say that these communities need something more than just a pop-up or a temporary library. What do you say to those critics who say that something more long-term is needed?
No, it's about creating bridges. Because, you know, when we talk about the US, for example, the library exists. The question is more how you get people to the library, how you break, you know, the frontiers, the barriers that can exist. And most of them are symbolic frontiers. Because, you know, the people say it's not for me, the library is not for me. So it's about creating bridges and getting to like places that are familiar for people. When you talk about the refugee camps, it's the same thing. It's about a temporary situation, hopefully. So it can last for many years, but it's still temporary. And it's about how you create in this kind of interspace, you know, how do you create a safe and creative space where people can, you know, empower themselves.
And very briefly, just to end with, could you talk us through some of the results and maybe the nice, happy stories that have come out from your project?
it's very hard to assess the impact of a library because it's like a 360-degree impact. But I love to say that when you open a library in Africa, for example, it's not only about literacy, it's not only about education. For sure, you have like good impact on that, but you will also have an unexpected impact, like the quality of the agriculture, because the farmers will be more informed about, how to grow their plants, but also the diminution of the rate of mortality for children, because the mom will be more informed about the nutrition for their children. So all these things are very interesting about impact. Today we are working in more than 30 countries around the world, and we have more than 10 million people, new readers, thanks to libraries. And for me, this is a good opportunity for them to have a better life.
Okay, Jérémy Lachal from Libraries Without Borders, thank you very much for coming in to talk to us. You're very welcome. Thank you very much.